Record. Cool. Okay, so welcome to this edition of the We Are Unlimited podcast for League of Champions. And this episode is all about connecting with cool people. And I happened to run into a girl called Emilie Kate, and I can't even remember how we crossed paths or anything. We just met on Facebook somehow, and I was like, oh man, that's cool. I started seeing a bit of what she was doing, and I was like, let's have an interview. I'm not going to find anything else about you until we jump on this Zoom and get to know each other. So welcome, Emilie.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Now, I have got you on Zoom, and I'm just going to actually pin you so I don't look like I'm talking to myself. There we go. That's a bit more socially appropriate.
No worries.
So, Emilie,
hi.
Tell us about who you are. What do you do? Where do you live, firstly? Because you're in Australia. What part of Australia are you in?
Queensland. So, sunny Queensland. I'm in Brisbane.
Where I'm from.
Brisbane City. Yeah, where you're from?
Well, I'm from Kingaroy, so but I know Brisbane really well. Lived there for quite some time.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes. I'm close to the city, and I've moved a lot, but I've settled in Brisbane City in the last few years. So yeah, I love it here.
Okay, and what do you do?
What do I do? Oh, so many things.
She's one of us.
I get this question all the time, and I'm like, oh my god.
Find yourself, woman.
Who am I? What is, all those big questions.
Yep.
I really do want to answer in concepts, but I won't.
You can answer however you like.
Everything and nothing. No.
Aren't we all?
Exactly. I've started a new path in the last 2 to 3 years. I wouldn't say it's relatively new. It's just something that I've taken on more full time. I was working in the hospitality industry for 11 years in the corporate professional space. I was voluntarily coaching for a company for up to 6 years, traveling to and from Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. And I then just started my own independent coaching without charging people. It's always kind of just been something that I'm very good at looking for what might be missing or what might empower someone. And really, I think it's funny when we say coaching, I actually genuinely call it listening. It's just about listening. Listening for what really lights people up, but also what might be in the way of other people having what they really want.
Yeah.
So I'm not really coaching for my own, my own brand at the moment. I'm working with a really good friend of mine who owns a not-for-profit called Here on Purpose. And I am the head of the young adult division, which is called BestLife, that I founded. And, we're all about empowering young adults to be able to express themselves fully and be able to live via purpose. So that's just been an amazing space in the last year. I do have my own team, and half the team are young adult men. And tomorrow we're actually creating a consistent event exclusively for men every week to jump online and to be able to share themselves and express themselves. Because I just don't know of any other space that's allowing men to do that freely online, especially right now in this isolation period. I think it's quite important. So we're creating that tomorrow, and these guys are amazing, and I love working with them. I love working with Jess. We have a multitude of different programs running at the moment, and I'm head coaching her main 12-week program, and potentially taking over a 3-day immersive on social media. But really, Jess creates this amazing purpose of being able to expand leadership on the planet, which is something that I'm so aligned with. So we have a lot of fun. We're housemates, we're best friends, and we're business partners. And we drive each other mad. We drive each other mad. And I'm looking over there because she's just sitting over there listening. We drive each other mad, but we both are totally aligned with our purpose. And we just have a lot of fun. I think that's a big part of why we enjoy doing what we're doing, is because you could take it seriously and be all significant about it, or you could have a lot of fun and make a really big difference. So that's who I am, really, and what I'm up to.
Cool. Well, after hearing that, and I think any of you who are listening and know what we're up to in League of Champions, like, it's no wonder we're here having this conversation.
Yeah, the stars
Like,
align.
seriously, it's so cool. So one of the things that we're doing in League of Champions is providing really accessible transformational coaching to people that wouldn't ordinarily have the resources to be able to access that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Despite what other coaching gurus have said and everything like that, like, there's this part of me that just wanted to get this out there. So I'm so excited to be talking to you, because I set up a nonprofit, oh god, it was about 2 years ago now, which didn't fly in the end, and it was all about we brought in that coaching aspect, but it was about connecting community through food, because I've got a background in hospitality.
I love that.
As a
I'm
chef.
such a foodie.
What did you do in hospitality?
Oh man, what didn't I do? I think I did everything but chef, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I was never paid to be behind the counter in the kitchen.
Okay.
I did, travel there to steal a few fries every now and then, but no, I worked in contract. I worked for corporate,
Okay.
in events. I worked, a lot of different hospitality jobs.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to connect you up with Maddie as well, who's got a nonprofit in Queensland, North Brisbane, called Housing the Homeless.
Very
as
cool.
well. Yeah.
I
So
love that. I'm so passionate about, being able to provide homes for those that are on the streets too.
yeah.
When I was in Sydney last, actually, I ran into a gentleman that was homeless. He was 25 and he had a dog named Princess. And I bought him dinner and all that. But honestly, I was so impacted by it. So I'd love to talk to Maddie, because I have some really amazing ideas for Brisbane.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is why we do what we do. I
Yeah.
love connecting people. That's amazing. Okay, great. And I want to say, I've never met a Jess in my entire life who's not amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
There's something about Jess's, I tell you what, like, my best friend, her name is Jess.
Something
as
about
well.
Jess's.
Yep.
Something about Jess's that are amazing. She loves hearing that.
One of my best favorite apprentice. I shouldn't have favorites. Anyway, I had a wonderful apprentice called Jess as well. Jess, if you're listening to this, hope everything's amazing for you.
You just got dubbed favorite, Jess. There you go.
All right. Okay. So, how do people? And I'm talking about nonprofits. Like, part of me is like, maybe I should set up League of Champions as nonprofit. I don't know. Like, I'm just like, I want to make it work and viable financially just by itself anyway, but it would be really, part of me is like, maybe I should look into opening up the nonprofit side of things. I don't know, but I'm interested to find out, like, how do people come by you? How do they end up in BestLife, which is the young adults division of what's the name of the
Here on Purpose.
On Purpose. Sorry, my writing is so messy, I can't even read it.
That's okay.
How do people end up?
So how do people find us?
Yeah.
Well, you really can't miss us. We're all we have flooded the social media platform that we can't even, I'm starting to come on full time next Monday, because we just can't keep up with the amount of people inquiring about our programs, inquiring about what we are doing. Jess started her own online TV show called Evolve and Entertain Global TV. And, we get influencers, coaches, entrepreneurs onto the show that are aligned with, expanding leadership in community. And they really just get to present their modality in an entertaining, playful way. And we have our own shows. Like, I have my own singles game show that runs every Friday fortnight, and my own Real Talk webinar, which is an open platform for anyone to share their experiences on Sundays. And basically what we found is that we're having these shows and we're communicating our passion and our intention, and we're being able to express it in a fun, playful way, and people are just flooding and coming to us. And, you know, we are very quite honest, and we're not going to pretend that we're trying to just dry salespeople. I think when you're in this environment, I don't know about you, Helen, but I know so many coaches, I know so many influencers. I support all of them, and I know that they all have something different to what I have. So generally, you know, I think it's like that we just work on honesty. If we don't think that someone is suitable for our immersion or a 12-week program or one-on-one coaching, or if they're not suitable to even be on our show, then we recommend someone else who might be suitable. And I think that's the community part as well, is that when we're trying to expand that kind of a conversation, especially in being entrepreneur. So that's how people find us, is that we have shows online, Evolve and Entertain, Global TV. We have the number one social media school for entrepreneurs is a group that we have on Facebook. And yeah, that one's for our immersions. So the social media immersions, just showing people how to get their business online quickly. Cool. Because of, you know, like you said, providing the tools that are needed and necessary right now. Yeah. So, you know, we have so many different platforms, but really it is all for, you know, our people, entrepreneurs, coaches, influencers, people that really want to get their message out there and their purpose out there. So we slam social media: LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok. Wow. We're everywhere. It's great though. And BestLife is it's a division of all of that. That's only really just starting to surface.
That's so cool. Like I'm so intrigued to find out more about all of this, because it seems it seems like we're very much aligned in kind of the stuff that we're creating and the stuff that we care about, and all sharing our knowledge together. And you know, we're getting people come through League of Champions as kind of clientele, but what we're seeing as well is coaches coming through, and League of Champions is a holistic success community. And we have a number of coaches that are sort of core to us, but what I'm finding is that on the periphery, we've just got all these other wonderful coaches as well. So I know my mind is in like, how do we integrate more of this? And you know, I care so deeply about connecting good people with good coaches. Like ultimately that's the thing. And one of the things that's frustrated me, and perhaps it's frustrated you as well, is a lot of the model of online coaching, the way it's kind of sold a lot of the time, the sort of just high ticket, all just comes from, you know, one or two people that teach a certain method. And what I've seen happening is just the real heart-centered coaches that just want to get in front of people and change lives are not connecting with, you know, the people that they could help because of this kind of prevailing model. So
absolutely. I totally get what you're saying. And Jess and I have both spent a lot of money. I mean, Jess more so, but I, in the last few years, have spent a lot of money on, you know, programs about coaching and how to be an influencer and how to do your branding and how to market yourself and all of it. I've done all of it. Not all, I've done a lot.
Me too,
yeah. And I do see a very solid model that's being sold to the general coaching industry. You know, just message people, send out bulk messages, you know, and it all kind of, when I start to look at it, it all kind of looks the same. And what I have to get though, and this is a place that I come from now, because I was like you, I was getting really frustrated. I have a lot of people message me all the time offering products, different modalities. Most of it's coaching. And at the end of the day, the context I come from is that everyone just wants to make a difference, especially if they're messaging 100 people a day. Everyone is just interested in making a difference. And oh, sorry, my Zoom just played up then. Everyone is interested in making a difference. And I think that everyone's on their own journey to discovering how to do that. And I can't say that I'm someone who's ever done the dry sales, where I just send out bulk messages to people and get ignored a multitudes of times, but those that do are really putting themselves on the line. And I think what's happening is that we get so caught up in the sales and the numbers, how many people can I get into this program versus the value. And I am seeing a lot of things come through about how to provide value, but it's still on top of a foundation of obtaining numbers.
Yes.
So
I agree.
let me give you a free book or a free webinar, and then I am going to bombard you with endless amounts of sales tactics to get you into my next program. And I'm going to email the crap out of you. So
it's so interesting, and as I think about sales and everything as a coach, and clearly sales are important and they're vital.
Yeah.
And how do we, and this is the journey I'm on, and I love it, figuring it all out, is how do we make sales, like I call it, in League of Champions, I call it like, it's like a conveyor belt or belt of love. Like I want it just to feel like it's the easiest thing to hop on. And, you're here in a free group and it's wonderful. And then if you want, you can come and try out a $9.95 membership. Like it doesn't cost much and you can do that. And then there's opportunity in there to win one-on-one coaching if you want to. And then only if you're ready, then we can move you up to other paid products, just like you, if it's the right match. And there's the thing that I really am against is coaches putting lack of results back onto clients. And sometimes that's the case, but it's firstly maybe they shouldn't have been brought on to start with, but also just not shining that light on the coach and them having accountability. And I've seen so much of that going on, and it really disappoints me, and it really mars the industry. I think
definitely. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I do know what you're saying, and I have a couple of answers to a question you asked at the beginning. Well, how sales is important. It's part of the process, and something that I've noticed that we try on. And that I'm witnessing a lot at the moment is acknowledgement. I'm calling because I want you to do my 3-day program. It's not like a call them, get to know them, script. How can I sell them without actually asking for their money? It's like, no, none of that. Be real. I'm calling because you commented on my post. You sound interested and I want to see if it fits.
Yeah.
It's super vulnerable and it's friggin' uncomfortable, but it's like you're acknowledging exactly why you're there. There's no fluffing around. It's real. And I think that has a lot more integrity.
Yeah.
And it saves a lot of time too.
Yes, definitely. No, I totally agree with you on that one. So we're getting a bit serious here, and I know that you like you like things nice and light.
Okay.
So one of the things I love to ask people, and just put them on the spot a little bit, but I did give you a little bit of a heads up, is to nominate a piece of music, because I think when we share music with each other, we get a little insight right into a person's soul straight away. So is there a piece of music that you'd like to nominate as important to you, and why that is?
Yeah, you did give me the heads up right before we jumped onto this podcast. Helen goes, pick a song. You're like, I'll explain later, just pick a song. And I almost took half an hour to do that because music's so important to me. So let me just create a little bit of foundation. I'm not going to chew up a lot of your podcasts with how much I love music. But as I was growing up, and I don't beat around the bush, I'll let you know if anyone's watching, I do jump straight into the deep end. I'm very raw and real about my life. When I was 10, my brother was suicidal. And for a really long time, music was the place that I went to be able to tune out of what was happening in my reality. And I developed ways of being trapped in my head. And one of them is to play music for myself. So I'm constantly hearing music and I'm constantly listening to music. And it really does calm my physical reality around me is whatever's, playing. And for a really long time, the song that stuck out for me, especially in my teenage young adult life, was I Want to Break Free by Queen. And I didn't realize at the time, but it was really just about breaking free out of my own head. But hearing that song so resonated with me for such a long time, because the only way that I knew how to handle my physical world is if there was music playing that I could then create an emotion from, and then, exist in reality. So that's a little bit deep.
Right, we do deep. We don't beat around the bush either.
No,
like,
I don't.
No.
Yeah. No time for that. Um, so I Want to Break Free really signified that I really just wanted to experience being out of my head. And that really came with self-awareness. So when I started my self-awareness journey was the first time that I ever felt like I was no longer enslaved by my anxiety, and no longer enslaved by having to really put loud music on, especially if something was happening in my head. I would just play really loud music to tune out the thoughts, and not being controlled by this sense of needing to drown all of the noise out, but rather be with the noise. And that was where the breaking free part came, was just being able to break through the noise and be with it and experience it fully. And that song, just every time I hear it, I just remember, what a miracle it was to be able to do that. So
Cool. That's awesome. And speaking of, your journey of personal awareness, like, can you take us back to when that began and how that started for you?
Yeah. So I had a really good friend of mine introduce me initially to a program called the Landmark Forum. A lot of people have heard about it. A lot of people around the globe have done it. I did it, and I coached on it. I did all of their programs. I did their leadership program for 9 months. I did their seminars and assisted with the company for up to 7 to 8 years. And I would still do their programs. I'm not currently in one. Well, I am, but it was cancelled because of Corona. But that's where my self-development journey started, would have been 2012. So basically, I was living on the Gold Coast in Australia, and I was a huge partier. I partied 5 times a week. I drank a lot. I wasn't into drugs. I wasn't someone who was into drugs. But I was sleeping with a lot of different men. I was just that stereotypical young adult out partying all night, every night with my friends.
On the Gold Coast.
On the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
In Surfers Paradise.
Yeah.
I was one of
Where
those. Yeah. I lived in Surfers Paradise. I could walk 5 minutes to any, big club. And I was working close to 50 hours a week at the casino, the casino on the coast. And I remember, though, if I wasn't drunk and if I wasn't partying, and if I wasn't around my friends, that I just became really numb, scared. I felt extremely isolated and confused, like lost. I think that's the best way to describe all of that. I was totally lost. I had a good friend of mine that I'd known since I was 10. And she's, I think she's about 15, 20 years older than I am. And I met her through her children from primary school. We just became really good friends. And she said to me, there's this program I've been doing and it's changed my life. It's amazing. I really want you to do it. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't need that. I'm happy-go-lucky. I'm having a ball. I'm partying. I'm drinking. I'm living by myself. I have my own apartment next to the beach. What more could I want? And I was like, I was really living the dream for a 22-year-old. I tell you, I had my own 2-bedroom apartment. My family lived an hour away. I lived right next to the beach. I could eat or drink whenever I wanted. It was awesome. And I felt really fucking lonely, really lonely. I couldn't be with myself, actually. I wasn't able to be alone. So I said to her, look, I don't know what I'd get out of it, and it's $900, so I don't know. And after about 4 months of conversations, something ticked for me, and I think it was really that I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I kind of just fell into hospitality because of my dad. He got me a job at the casino, and aside from drinking and working, there wasn't anything really else that I was up to. And when someone had asked me, if you can see yourself in 10 years, where will you be? I had no idea. I was like, probably still drinking, still working at the casino, and all my friends would probably move on. And I was like, oh, that's not a good that's not a good reality. That's not a very nice, predictable future based on the actions I was taking. So I said, okay, I'll do the program. It was 3.5 days. I got so much about what had been constraining me in life, and a lot of it had to do with my brother.
Sorry, one sec. It's
We
real. We've got coronavirus. Sophie, do you want to come and say hi? Sophie turned 6 yesterday. Last I saw, she was...
Happy birthday!
Come and say... I'm making a recording. You may as well say hello.
Hi, Sophie.
That's Emily. She's saying hello.
Hi.
How are you, gorgeous?
She says, how are you, gorgeous?
Good.
Good. It's all about dragons.
Birthday. Did you get that for your birthday?
Did you get that for your birthday?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm just making a recording at the moment. You okay?
You should come see the house right now.
I can't come right now, but I can't wait to come and see it. Is that
Probably
right?
when you're finished, it might be ready.
Okay, well, you go finish it, and I'll keep talking here, and then...
We still need to do the dragon.
Okay.
Yeah, don't forget about the dragon.
Dragon tomorrow.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll come down soon.
So cute.
Nearly done. Okay.
Daddy didn't even really help.
And Daddy didn't even help.
Oh, rude.
Not really.
I think she's proud. She's proud that she's done it without Daddy's help.
That's so sweet.
Ah, cool.
Super cute.
Yeah, she's gorgeous, and yeah, we just keep it real here. It's what it's like, you know. We're all
you have
family
kids.
people.
That's what happens.
Yeah,
They want your attention.
They do. Yeah, and that's fine. So you answered a bunch of my questions there, which is great. And I was like going to ask you what it was like before, you know, self-awareness and how you which you did answer, which was great. And I think a lot of people listening might resonate with that place that you found yourself, you know, before you started to gain a little bit of self-awareness. What has been between then and now? What's been the most difficult transformation that you've had to go through?
Ooh, I love these questions. They're amazing questions. Most difficult transformation that I've had to go through. Look, I think they've all been pretty difficult because it really is just about challenging, you know, programming that is so comfortable and natural that it's like, but if you continue with that programming and that current identity, then you won't have that creation, or you won't have that future that you really want. So I think what actually has been the most difficult, I'll think of the most recent. The one that springs to mind for me at the moment is I had crippling anxiety. Like, I had really bad anxiety for a really long time, and it had kind of manifested into a eating disorder when I was younger. I was so concerned with what people thought about me that I felt nauseated every time I had to be in public. And basically I developed ways to be able to deal with that, like sipping water to keep that feeling down. I developed ways of being able to hide out, kind of give people what they need and then retreat. And I think that's really kind of also where my isolation came from, was this fear of people just in general. And you know, it came from such a place of suffering internally and silently. So I really get when people say, don't suffer in silence. I really understand that statement, because that is exactly how it looked for me. And the real transformation with that was getting that people are going to judge me anyway. It's like whether you have anxiety or not, people are going to judge you. I judge people. It's very natural for our survival mechanisms to try and work people out and decide whether they're going to be safe or not. And so I kind of, there was a moment, and I didn't even realize I had done it, but there was a moment that I just gave up my anxiety. And those that have anxiety that potentially listen or watch this, I'm not saying it's as easy as like just letting it go. But it really was the experience of just giving it up, because either way, people are going to judge me, and the world isn't a very safe place. But who am I going to be about it? And so that's really when I took on just like stepping into being able to be connected with anyone, and my anxiety got in the way of that connection. So that was the toughest one to overcome, because it was like so real for me. There was like my physical reality was changed because of the way I was feeling internally. So it was like, I hadn't even realized that transformation had occurred until about 3 or 4 months down the line. I realized I didn't have anxiety. Like that decision was so powerful that the anxiety became irrelevant. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So that's one that's really present for me at the moment.
Cool. It's funny that it's not funny. I think, and I look back over my life, there have been defining moments of decision where I've just made a decision which has completely and inextricably altered the course of my life, and it just came from I decide.
Exactly.
And I'm glad that you said that as well, because I know some of the people that are in League of Champions, in our wider community, do have anxiety, and I notice in their language as well that it's my anxiety. I'm not a person that's had a lot to do with anxiety when I probably did actually, but I got through it. I had an eating disorder as well, funnily enough. But I got through it, and I partied a lot, and that kind of changed my brain. And
yes, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
So do you find, and I'd be interested to hear your opinion on this, because you understand how difficult it is perhaps to move through anxiety. Do people tend to kind of cling to that as an identity, or I just notice as my anxiety is the words that they use, and I'd like you to speak to that a little bit if you could.
All right.
And even you did that as well.
Yeah, look, I refer to it in that sense now, but at the time, I just thought that that's the way that life was. I just thought, I'm just someone who gets nervous, is what I used to call it, actually. I used to think, oh, I'm just really nervous, so I threw up. I'm really nervous and I feel really like sick, so I would just go and throw up. It was just very natural for me. I never actually described it as anxiety until I had overcome it, and months later being like, wow. Like actually what happened was someone described their anxiety to me. They were sharing about their anxious feelings, and I thought to myself, I used to feel that way. Wow, I didn't realize it was anxiety.
I'm having that realization myself as I'm looking back to my uni days, and I was just absolutely terrified of having any kind of, to me, the most terrifying thing was small talk. Like that to me was like terrifying.
Me too. Oh, yeah.
And all the social pressure that would come along with that. And
but
I never associated it with anxiety.
No. And that's it, is it didn't have that attachment or that label until someone else had shared an experience that I went, wow, that sounds pretty much exactly what I experienced. And then I went, oh, that's anxiety. So but aside from that, you know, for me, it looked like feeling nervous is what I used to say to myself. And then to others, I would just say, I feel sick. Um, and then, you know, that had kind of disappeared, but there was still this association to being nervous and sick to actually being sick. So for years, there's been like there's that self-awareness is like, it's kind of like it goes up. I'm not saying like up levels, but there's new levels to it, new layers where it's like, okay, so now am I nervous or am I actually sick? So I've got a little bit of a hair sticking out here.
It's all right, so perfect.
I just wanted to point it out. I could see it like alpha-ing. But you actually asked a very isolated question, and that was, do I think that people use anxiety as a kind of attachment to identity? Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. And I what I see is people deciding they want to change, and they'll come in and they'll identify with having anxiety, and then they'll want to change, and we all do it. We decide we want to change, and we do, and we change our behavior and change our thought patterns consciously, you know, and it's hard to start with. And then something might happen, you know, and we kind of snap back to the old self, and then suddenly it's like I see the words, oh, my anxiety is flaring up again. And I just, it doesn't have to be, because I know we all have thoughts, but we don't have to own our thoughts. It's not like, you know, I have the rights to, I'm not good enough, or, you know, I don't belong. These are thoughts that we have, you know, in our collective consciousness. But I don't know, anxiety wasn't even a thing when I was in high school. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
you know, and now that it has a label, I see people, I literally hear them saying my anxiety, and I just wonder if it's not a healthy pattern of language. And it's, you
Well,
know,
look, it could be.
I'm all for
Definitely.
hacks, like little hacks that somebody can change. And if it's just changing a word, and even it's like, I'm feeling anxious today, rather than my anxiety, you know, I am entrapped by anxiety, and then it can enable someone to actually, as you were saying before, notice their feelings, be present with their feelings and the anxiety. It's not like saying I'm not feeling anxious. It's totally fine to feel anxious, but then to know that, you know, they can move through that emotion and find themselves on the other side of that as well. So entrepreneur woman, I would love to hear about the inception of the idea of this nonprofit that you know are a part of.
Cool.
Tell me about it.
Can I quickly, because I just want to just quickly, for the last thing that you were sharing about you know, having anxiety versus just feeling anxious. So I think that's something that really isolates ourselves, because I know that I do that as like an automatic thing, is I go, I'm anxious, you know, and it's a protective mechanism for people to leave me alone. I'm very good at it. I'm very good at being like, okay, I feel anxious, I'm retreating now. And people do leave me alone because they're like, oh, that's like a trigger word, you know, it's like a red flag, someone who's anxious. And it's kind of, you can't be responsible for how other people are feeling. But if someone is doing that, it is a red flag for you to go, this person really just needs to be heard. This person really needs just space, and I need to let them know that I'm here for them if they need me. And I can't fix or change that person or how they're feeling, but I can allow them the environment to be able to come back when it's needed. And whether I think that people are making it up or not is irrelevant, because I think that those things and those trigger words happen because someone really does feel unsafe. So I just wanted to speak to that. To anyone, you know, who says that they have anxiety or is experiencing anxiety and they call it their anxiety, I get it. And just being able to have the people around you that go, I get it. I love you. Let me know when you want to come back.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we can have such an open and honest conversation about that. So thank you really for just opening up the space to speak to that.
You're
as
welcome.
well.
No worries.
And I hope it gives everyone some two sides of a coin to reflect on and consider, how they feel and where they sit. And I think that's really cool. So
yeah,
thank you.
And in terms of language, if you wanted a little like tool, me and my housemate usually say, I'm experiencing frustration, not I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
So everything's an experience, everything exists in language, and what comes out of your mouth is actually created.
Yeah.
So it's like, I am experiencing anxiety, not I have anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to say as well, just in case it came across incorrectly, I was not saying that the feelings aren't real.
Oh, they're definitely real. Yeah, yeah.
Ever. I would never say somebody's making up their emotions or their feelings. But what I would like to crack a little hole in is the power that those feelings can have over a person, and that they're perhaps not as powerful and as all-encompassing as you potentially make them to be. So that's really where I'm coming from, and I hope together we've created a safe space for people to consider, if they're dealing with anxiety, what they want to do about it.
Yeah, explore what's at the source of it is what I say. And I think we are opening up a space for people to be able to start exploring that for themselves in a safe environment. So
okay, cool.
Yeah.
So
but let's talk about the not-for-profit.
Yes, so you've created this, and in that not-for-profit, you have created that beautiful space where people can open up. So tell me about the inception of that idea.
Oh, inception of the idea. All right, well, I don't really know where to start. What do you really want to know?
Well, firstly, how long have you been running?
We started November last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it hasn't been that long. And what's interesting is that we actually started as an events company, an events not-for-profit, here on Purpose Enterprise. And we were running live events throughout Brisbane. And we had a team of other leaders in Gladstone, Melbourne, and a few of us in Brisbane as well. It started as a not-for-profit to really make a difference to the corporate space, and to bring more of a community, a connected community to the LGBTIQ plus environment that was not, gay pride partying, or it was either partying or it was protesting, is kind of how we looked at it. And we're like, why don't we just have a space where people can come to and express themselves just because they're human beings and they're a part of this community. So our first event was amazing. It was mostly Jess had worked on that event, and I was pretty much the production manager, and working full time. So we sold out that event. We had an amazing space at the Mercure Hotel in Brisbane, and we impacted a lot of people. And that's kind of where it had started and evolved into it being a bit more expansive than just the LGBTIQ plus community. It became a not-for-profit for all communities, for leaders to come and jump on board. And we do employ all different types of people that want to lead different conversations and topics. But really it's driven by community leadership, purpose, and passion. And so it started, and it kind of tumbleweeded really quickly. And it's actually tumbleweeding faster than we had anticipated, even in the last month. But so here on Purpose is really centered around community leadership. And we had events that were live, and now obviously with COVID-19, we've had to roll everything onto online. So since doing that, obviously we've discovered demands or things that people really need right now. And one of those things is being able to get your business online. So that's a part of not-for-profit is jessclaire.com. Jess Claire being my housemate, business partner, kind of best friend. No, but it all intertwines because it's all really with the same intention. Here on Purpose, though, is where it started, and it still remains. BestLife is a division of that because I'm personally really passionate about inspiring and expanding leadership with young adults, and I get so moved by young adults really stepping into their full expression. I just get so moved by it because I know it's very individual thing, and there's just so much I could say about this not-for-profit. Hello, who's this?
Is this still Sophie?
We're back, Sophie.
I think you go to the toilet. Off you go then.
She just needed to let you know.
Yeah.
So ultimately, what's the inception of Here on Purpose? I just love that you asked what the inception of Here on Purpose was. There's just so much to it. I could talk about it for hours. But ultimately, expand leadership, community leadership on the planet.
Cool.
That's it.
Yay. That's what we're here for.
It is. Yeah.
Okay. We'll be making sure we drop all links, all appropriate links and everything, wherever we post this. So anyone listening, just know that look for the comments and we'll point you in the right direction.
Yes.
Something just went through my brain out the other side. A recent, without sharing, if you can do it without compromising confidentiality or anything like that, are you able to share a lovely transformation that you've seen within the community as a result of the work that you've been doing?
Absolutely. So I'll share a direct result because I know this person's okay with it. I mentor a couple of young adults myself, one of them being my younger brother, which is really like the most phenomenal thing that I think I could ever have done in my life and I'm going to share about that. I know he won't mind. So my young brother is 20 years old. He's a apprentice mechanic for Audi. And it was 8 or 9 months ago. He asked me to borrow some money. So I was starting up this division, BestLife. And I said to him, I'll give you a couple $100, but there's something that I require of you. And he's like, what is it? I'm like, I need you to partner me in this not-for-profit. I need you to really, he didn't realize at the time, but I said, I really need you to be the face of this brand. And he was like, I don't know how to do that. And I don't know what you're talking about, but sure, I need money. So he's like, yeah. So I transferred him money. And the next day we were on a group call with a couple other people that put their hands up for wanting to make a difference to young adults. And, my brother, he is someone who does not share, or did not share, what was going on for him internally, his emotions. He drank a lot, was doing a lot of drugs, partying a lot, in and out of girlfriends. He was cheating on his girlfriend at the time. And there was a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, and a lot of resentment for where his life had kind of ended up. Living a couple of hours away from our family too, kind of really isolated him in his own BS. I'm going to call it BS. There's a whole world of things that were going on for him. So he came onto the team, and the first thing I do with anyone is I say, what do you want? What is the result that you want to produce out of being a part of this? What's your intention? And he said, I just want to deal with my depression. I just want to be able to enjoy something. And I said to him, okay, I got that. And I said, who do you need to be for that result to, to eventuate. And we had a buy when, which was May, 1st of May, which is when our event was going to be. And I said to him, so by the 1st of May, who do you need to be for that result, for you to really to be on top of your depression? And he said, someone connected. And I was like, great. The first thing we did was I got him to have a conversation with his manager about a complaint he had about her. And he had a complaint that she was just a bitch. She was being a bitch, and she was rude, and she was just this rich, snobby woman who could do whatever she wanted. And this is in a mechanics shop. So this is one woman surrounded by 30 men who all have a similar opinion about her. And I just said to him, okay, I got it. And we got to the source of why he thought she was a bitch. And I said to him, put yourself in her shoes for a minute and have a look at what that might be like for her, having an entire room of men thinking that she's just a snobby brat. What might that be like for her? And he said, oh, I don't know. I've never thought of that. I said, well, let's just step in her shoes. She walks through the door. What's the first thing you feel? And he said, unsafe. And we went through this process together, and it was really just a conversation about being able to look into someone else's perspective. And it was the first time that he'd ever put himself outside of himself and into someone else's view. And he said, I had no idea that I had contributed to that. And he went and had a conversation with her. It took a couple of weeks for the courage to kick in. But he had a conversation with her, and he said, I realized that I had this opinion about you, and I realized what that must be like for you is really uncomfortable and unsafe. And I just wanted to apologize. And then he, from then on, who he became for his work environment was someone who was really was leadership. That's what I call leadership, is really owning and being accountable for your own perspective. So from then on, it has just been a tumbleweed of transformations for him. And he, just the emotional transformation from being someone who drinks a lot and just gets really angry and then sleeps a lot and so depressed, to gardening. He's sharing with my parents about his relationship issues. It's so fulfilling for me seeing my brother go through that.
I think, yeah, totally. And I don't know if you could tell, I'm on the edge of my seat listening to this story.
I could talk for hours about it.
And I'm like, did she burst into tears, that woman? She must have been flabbergasted to have this.
Stunned. Yeah. He said that she didn't really know how to respond.
No.
And then, we asked her to fund BestLife, and she was really interested. Actually, she was like, we've already given the donations for the year, but let us know and we'll put you on the list for next year. And obviously the event fell through, and those communications were lost, unfortunately. But ultimately, the result is in who he was being about it. And it's like something shifted for him about who he was for himself.
Yeah.
And that's what I call transformation.
Absolutely. That's exactly the kind of story that I was hoping for. And the ripple effect that's going to have around his world.
Well, that's
and
it.
So on and so forth.
Now he is a leader at BestLife for young adult men to express themselves fully.
Yes.
And I'm like, this was not possible 6 months ago for him. Yeah. Yeah.
So my headset's starting to run out of batteries, and I know we're getting to an hour, and this has been so wonderful. Speaking of leadership, though, and I know leadership is always, I'm interested in leadership. I'm always interested in my own leadership, and I'm speaking to a lot of people who are interested in their leadership and what leadership is like. And we're all leaders and we're all followers. But have you got I'm totally putting you on the spot here, but is there a leadership book that you think is just awesome?
Ooh, a leadership book that I think is awesome. Guilty. I don't read as much like biographies, or I'm trying to think to the last audiobook or podcast that I read. So I haven't really done specifically a lot of reading about leadership.
Okay, that's
Because
fine. It's the wrong question to ask.
no, you're right. I really do live via, it wasn't the wrong question at all, actually, because I think you'll find that this is the answer. Life is an experience for me. And leadership inside of that is an experience versus someone or a celebrity or something that I idolize. So therefore, leadership exists within anyone around me. And I think it really, the kind of books that I read expand on that notion. So I read stuff like from Dr. DeMartini about, the breakthrough experience. And it's all, neurologically what happens, that we separate ourselves from others, or, and I have read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Rich Dad. Yeah, and by the way, and I love podcasts from Tony Robbins, Russell Brand, and Gene Brown. But it really is all about what is your view, what is your environment that you're creating, and that everyone has their own experiences and their own view. So I think it is the perfect question, because leadership is an experience of someone. It's not, there's no idolization of a specific person. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's so beautiful. I'm poised and ready to write down this quote. Leadership is an experience of someone.
Yeah, well, that's what it is for me, at least. That's my own
and that's the question, isn't it? What is leadership for us? I'm just going to plug my headset in. One sec.
Love it.
Awesome.
Cool.
Solved.
And that's it. And I can see my experience of your leadership. It's obvious. Is that you are like, you're connecting people with different tools and other people for them to really get their own purpose and have access to, what lights them up. So yeah, you can just hear it in someone's language.
Oh, thank you. It's funny because I know you're the same as coaches. We just see, it's so obvious when you look at somebody, even if they can't see it themselves, and they're telling us about the vision that they have for themselves, but they're not there yet. But it so is. Like for us, we've got the special, and it's not just us, but I can't help but see in someone their greatness already.
I'm the same.
So I think being a coach is such an honor. Like having that front row seat on personal transformation is the best show on the planet.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Cool.
So fulfilling.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Almost as fulfilling as your own personal transformation, but that,
well, it goes hand in hand.
It does.
Yeah.
You gotta do that first, I think. So oh, that's been amazing. Thank you so much. I'm so glad I didn't find out anything about you. It was just like,
so much to know.
I need to find out more about you, and I'm not going to ask any. I'm going to keep all of my questions for the interview, and I'm so very glad that I did.
I'm glad you did too. This was fun.
So, if you had one final message to send to people who are listening before we wrap up, what would that message be?
Don't ever stop sharing. Always share your experiences. Always share who you are. Just don't stop, because once you start, you won't stop. Because your view matters. It's so uniquely you. No one else has the same set of eyes. No one else has the same set of ears. No one else has the same experiences, programming, patterns, family, history. No one. Biology. Everyone is uniquely different. And I think your vision and your expression, your experience is so unique to you that you have no idea what impact it will make. No idea. So never stop sharing.
I got nothing yet. That's dropped the mic. I got nothing. I got nothing else to say.
I
Like
love it.
that's amazing. So we might wrap it up here. Emily, I'll definitely make sure all relevant links are wherever they need to be. And if for some reason you're listening to this and you can't see any links, try and reach out to me, and I'll just hook you up with Emily. So and Jess, don't forget Jess. She's there.
She's there somewhere.
Just awesome. All right.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I've had so much fun.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Me too. Awesome. Okay, well, we'll release each other back into the wild, and this will pop up on the internet soon.
Good. I can't wait. And
Okay.
stay in contact.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm watching that space for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Helen.
All right. Okay, thanks, Emily.
Have a good day.
You too.